Hey guys, it's Dr. Yuli. The doctor is in. Hope you guys are having a wonderful late night. It's after midnight, almost 12:15. I'm going to try to keep this video very concise. Still on the road, still in upstate New York. Got another concert tomorrow before I wrap up the tour that I've been on. Looking forward to that and putting this thing to bed. But that's not what I want to talk about. Tonight I wanted to do a little follow-up to my most recent video on body image that I posted about a day or so ago. I've gotten some really great response from you, the viewing public, and just wanted to touch on some of the points that were brought up in the responses that I received. The first one being upbringing and how it affects one's dietary habits in adulthood. I forgot to touch on this last time because I really hadn't thought about how much it really does affect someone. You know, when you're growing up and, you know, your parents cook your meals and they furnish all the food that you eat pretty much up until a certain age where you're allowed to do a little more for yourself and have a little more free reign on your own diet. A lot of what we all think of as food, or how we think about food, I should say, comes from that diet that is given to us by our parents, by our family. And I know for me, there was a time where I wasn't allowed to eat more than a certain amount, and I could only have one cup of Kool-Aid or juice or whatever if we had that to go with the dinner. After that you could have only water and stuff like that. Like, it was very portion controlled. And then after a while, I was allowed to have, like 2 pieces of meat, or I could get up and actually go and fix myself more of, whatever. Like, I could have seconds and sometimes thirds, dare I say. And so all these things, it's like it tells a child after a while, if you get into that habit, your brain tells, your young infantile self to go for more. You never reach that point of satisfaction after a while. I don't know, at least it could lead to that. I'm not saying it's the case for everyone, but I know in my case, the more I saw, the more I wanted to eat. And I was not, super, out of control with all that, but I was a thick little boy. I'm not gonna lie. My mom used to shop for clothes for me in the husky section. Those of y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like, dare I say, it's like plus size for boys, that the boys that need a little extra room and have the elastic in the pants and all that sort of jazz. That was me. And I retained some of that girth in my adulthood, although in a more centralized location. But it stems from a lot of the early habits instilled from the family. And it's funny to me how sometimes your family is your biggest critic in terms of weight. And, especially when you're a kid, they be like, oh, you're getting too big, you're getting too big. Yet they allow you to continue this dietary habit. Or they're, in a sense, giving you the extra, food. They're giving you the license to continue putting on the weight. I don't know. I mean, dare I say it like that? That's what it seems like. It just seems like a big contradiction. But that's one thing. We'll quickly move right along. I don't want to run out of time. The other thing was the weight chart. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The ideal weight. What does that even mean? It's like a bunch of whoever's got around and decided that, people that are this height, according to their body frame, should be this weight. So if you have a small frame, you should weigh this. If you have a medium frame, blah, blah, blah. You get the trend. And I remember seeing that when I was younger. And the image has just sort of been burned in my brain ever since then. And it's like I've been trying to, I think subconsciously trying to make the numbers on the page become reality for me. It's like I started to take it too literal, and that's been a big problem, because a lot of people will look at me and be like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. You look fine. You look average." And I describe myself as that. I'm just like sort of an average build, a little thick in the middle, a little, I got a little bit of chin, 1.5 chins, but I'm fairly average. I do okay. But it's like it says to yourself when you see something like that chart, it sort of constantly acts as a reminder to say, well, you're not ideally what you should be, and you strive to do that in some way, whether it be excuse me pardon me, whether it be through dieting, which I've done a lot of, up and down, trying to do exercise, all these different things to try to reach this number, this magic number. And it's a real shame. It's a real shame that one can become enslaved to that. So that's another thing that I forgot completely about, that was brought up in commentary from your lovely, the lovely viewing public. And I guess the last thing I just want to quickly touch on has to do with like shopping and clothing. I mentioned, how when I was younger, my mom would buy me the bigger clothes for the boys. I couldn't wear the normal sizes, and it's like, it's funny for when you're an adult and you're oddly proportioned, as I am. Good Lord, I'm so dry this evening. When you're oddly proportioned as an adult, it's hard to find clothes that fit you because, things are made, especially for guys, things are made according to a certain measurement. Usually, like for shirts, it's from the neck and the sleeve length, and everything is sort of tailored around that in proportion. And, it can be a real bad equation depending on the shirt itself, the quality of the material, the quality of the stitching. You can have 2 shirts that are the same size from different makers and they fit completely different. And not everyone has the luxury of getting bespoke garments, handmade, custom-made garments. Most of us, like myself, have to get things ready to wear off the rack, prêt-à-porter, if we must say, au français. So that's always a gamble. It's always hard, and it's tough. I'm just going to say that. But the saving grace, I think, in it all, the silver lining and how to deal with this, comes from a comment I got from one of my friends and subscribers, E.A. Sings. That's E-A-S-I-N-G-S. His name is Aaron. I went to school with him. He's a really cool guy. And he said something, I think he said it best, when he's like, you should learn to love parts of you, or learn the aspects of you that will not fade, because beauty fades, looks fade, bodies age, people age, but there are things about oneself that can endure, that one can sort of put on that pedestal to survival. And that's really sound advice, I think. So maybe that's the answer. Focus on those things that you can sharpen, like your intellect, your personality. Or if you like to dress a certain way and you found a personal style, exploit it no matter what. So, maybe that's the answer. We'll have to keep talking on this, I think, another time. I should wrap this up. I'm reaching my time limit. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I gotta get to bed. Got an early start in the morning. But I'll be back back talking to you guys very soon. Until then, have a good night. Peace.